Question. The first part was, you had mentioned having a maid when you were a boy. How much of that experience did you use as a frame of reference when you were writing the film? And then the second part was about how the film was received in Singapore. It was screened there.
Well, I think you probably could sense that this is quite a personal film. I had a maid for 8 years. Her name is Teresa, and we call her Auntie Terry, and she she came from a province in the Philippines called Ilo Ilo, hence the title. A lot of people have been asking me like, why is this film called Ilo Ilo? Like, I don't get it. It's not mentioned in the film. But so, but in a way, it was. I think I started from a very um, personal viewpoint, but I think it was very, very hard to write the film when I started there. And somehow the script wasn't shaping together, somehow it wasn't working. Because, the truth is, real life is quite mundane, and when real life has no dramatic structure, you try and put real life into a film, it's flat. And before it felt like a diary, it felt like just a retelling of events. But, actually 60% of some of the characters, the moments, the events were literally from real life, but I had to reorganize all that. I had to find, the poetry and the metaphors to tell the story. So in a way, I think as I was writing the script, it really was distancing myself from the subject matter, taking quite a few steps back. That was when when I got more objective, that was when the script started, the characters started to come together and the script started to um, take form. I hope I'm answering your question. Um, in terms of Singapore, we opened in Singapore last year in August. Um, I'm actually quite surprised that the film did very well in Singapore. Um, it was the third highest grossing Singapore film in Singapore last year, and it was the longest running film in Singapore for the entire year. It literally ran for like 6 months, I think. And this is the first time that has happened to a film that has an art house film, especially an art house film that has been in Cannes, because in Singapore, the Cannes logo is like a dirty word. Whenever you see a poster with the Cannes logo, people sort of like avoid it like a plague. Yeah, because I think cinema culture isn't very, very sophisticated yet. It's still very, very young in Singapore, that most people associate art house films with being very slow, being very boring. I might fall asleep. So most films, we have a couple. We haven't got a lot. We've got about 4 or 5 films that have been selected in Cannes before, but they've never done well at the box office. In fact, we probably did 20-fold of what those previous films have done in a funny way. I think people connected with the story, people connected with the characters, they saw something. In fact, I think in Singapore, some audiences feel that it was so close to home, or perhaps sometimes too close for comfort. Um, but what was interesting is it actually spurred on a social movement. There were, a bunch of um, audiences that were around my age, in their mid and late 20s, who saw the film, and they felt a lot towards it because it reminded them of their mates, and so they started a social movement. There was a social movement started called Project Ilo Ilo, and every week they would collect donations, and every weekend, because the mates would only have their days off on Sunday. I think for a lot of Filipinos, it's like they used to be like once a month. I think they are still once a month. So the day off would be on Sundays, and what they do is to um, go to the cinema with all these donations. They would buy like a ton of tickets, and they would go to where these mates congregate, and they would give out free tickets. So it was very interesting what actually happened, because people actually turn their impressions or their connections with the film into something that was, an active thing. They literally did something about it, which was very unique.